welcome back to Love and Life Sorted. I'm Dr. Sandy Toe, and today we have a really special guest. It's Angela Huang, the artist.
Hi, hello.
Hey, Angela, you're finally free to come on. Okay, so because I met Angela like last year during the workshop, the Designing Your Work-Life workshop, the one that was organized by Stanford professors and the pilot one in Hong Kong, right? And we were so glad to be a part of it. Such an honor for us, right? And like Angela really stood out to me because when I heard that she quit her full-time job in corporate for 10 years to become a full-time artist, I was so impressed. I was like, I have to, get to the bottom of it. Like, I have to ask her, like, how she came about this decision, this life-changing decision. Because, this is usually something that we can only dream of, but no one actually could take the leap. So I was like, I have to get her on the show and ask her more about that, to have her tell me more.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so let's start by telling us a little bit about your background. Were you like always studying art when you grew up?
Yeah, so I studied art in college. I was a double major, so I did art and economics. But after graduating, I actually worked in corporate for almost a decade before quitting my job and switching to art full time. So during this time, I was still making art, but I was trying different mediums and not doing it seriously as a career.
You mean like as a hobby, you were always painting
Yeah,
something?
during this time I was painting, I was involved in a lot of public murals. Um, so when I was living in San Francisco, I was involved in this mural association. So we would go paint outdoors, for example, like paint at high schools or like walls of like hospitals and stuff like that.
And hey, in case you want to see like what the studio looks like, go on to my IG page and then you'll see. You'll find the stuff there, okay? Yeah. But the thing is, like, I want to ask, how come you didn't become an artist immediately after you
Mm.
studied art, right? You studied fine art, like you know how to paint and stuff. Like, how come you like went into corporate? And what did you do? Like, what was your corporate job?
Yeah, so when I graduated, actually, I've always really loved art, but I was never brave enough, I guess, to pursue it as a full time career. And when I graduated, there were just many different things I wanted to try. So I worked in consulting for almost 10 years. And it's a much more structured environment. I thought I still learned a lot. It was really good for getting exposed to different industries, different companies. But in the end, I just felt like I was missing kind of pursuing that creative side of myself, which is why I thought it was time to try something else after so many years.
Yeah, yeah. So did you ever had like a chance to paint or like do any art when you were working?
I did, but I think to build a serious series of work, you need to develop a thesis, develop a point of view, and then build out a whole collection, based on a very kind of specific narrative. And when I was working in consulting, the work I was making was more like one-off pieces to de-stress. So the purpose
Mm.
is very different.
Mm,
So for
mm,
example, I
mm,
like
mm,
for
mm.
find a photo at home and paint or something like that. But it
Mhm.
wasn't based on like a very well thought out
Collection.
collection.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Yeah, and you had no time obviously because your job was intense. Like you were a consultant, right? A management consultant?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, those are intense. And it's like completely different from your artistic side. Like isn't that like very practical and stuff?
Yes. For me, I think I thought about doing art related jobs, but in the end, what I enjoyed most was making art. So even though I considered going from consulting to, for example, like working at a museum or a gallery, I think
Mm, mm,
making
mm,
art
mm.
was the part that I enjoyed the most. So in the end, I decided to just go for it.
Yeah, okay. So how did you decide to go for it? Like was there any something that happened or some transition point or someone or something that motivated you or gave you the courage?
It wasn't an impulsive decision. I think it's just that over time, after so many years, I realized that if I wasn't going to pursue my passion, I would basically have regrets.
Mm,
So ultimately, I just could not ignore it anymore. I think that I definitely have a practical side, but in the end, like your passion is like bigger than your fears, and you
mm.
just have to address it.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I thought about it for a long time, and in fact, probably it actually like spanned months, if not
Mm, mm.
like years before I had the courage to be a painter. But when I look at a lot of
Oh.
other artists, I always really admire them because I think they have to be like very bold to really commit themselves to that.
Yeah, totally, totally. I mean, like, I admire artists a lot. You know, people who make art, who are so creative that they can make art because I love art. Like, who doesn't, right? Like, it'll like add color to your life and stuff. So, yeah, I really admire people who know how to do that. Like, I'm only on the other side of it, right? So, yeah, that's like a really bold move. You would have to have some support from, people. I would guess other people like giving you a boost in your confidence. What about your peers? Do you know a lot of artists like giving you this moral support, like a boost to, hey, just quit what you're doing and join us or something?
Mm, I do have a lot of friends who are artists, but I think asking other people to quit their job is a very big responsibility. So they wouldn't necessarily say that. But I guess I do share my passion with a lot of other artists, and we, get together to show our art to each other, to get critique and like feedback from each other. Um, so doing that over time also helped me kind of keep this alive as a hobby and to let me still not completely push the creative side of myself away while I was working.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like really really important for you to keep in touch with other artists as you go along, right? Or else how do you keep the passion alive,
Mm,
right? Okay, yeah, that's like totally makes sense. Okay, so yeah, I mean, but another thing is like launching into this new endeavor. Even if you had some artist friends, they're not your teachers, right? They don't teach you to make art. So
mm,
how do you get back into it?
mm. I so 2 years ago I started doing a part-time master's at CUHK in fine art. Um,
Mm.
at that time I was still working, so it was more about discipline and accountability and making sure that I carve time out to still pursue art. But actually, a little over halfway through the course, that was when I decided to leave my job and do art full time. So that was when I was able to put a lot more attention into the work I was making. So it went from being like
Oh.
kind of like a course I was taking for accountability to something
Mhm.
that, was more focused on meeting other artists and actually getting feedback on work that I was making.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so actually the course, like the masters at Chinese university, that was like a major like push toward pursuing this full time because you were
Mm.
just doing it part time before.
Um, no, the course is still part time. I actually don't think it really weighed into my decision to quit, but I think it was a sign that I wanted more of art into. I
Mm-hmm.
I thought the course was a sign that I wanted more art in my life. Like that I
Mm-hmm.
was like yearning to create again,
Right,
basically.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's nice. So it serves like the purpose, first of all, of well, originally to get you back into like the groove, like because you
Mm,
haven't like touched your art for a long time, so
mm.
you have to learn how to do it again, and it also gave you the impetus to pursue it like more,
I
right?
was actually inspired by a colleague. So I
Mm.
was in Miami for a training, and I
Mm-hmm.
had a colleague who told me that she teaches a class, like a spinning class at Equinox.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I was really surprised. I was like, how do you make time to teach a class at Equinox? We, have busy schedules. How do you teach a class at Equinox every
Hmm.
Wednesday morning? And she told me that best commitment is pre-commitment. And that kind of inspired me to actually do this master's. It was shortly after that conversation that I decided, oh, that's actually a really great way to make myself, bring art to let art play a bigger role in my life to
Mm-hmm,
sign up for class.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So far making this leap, how long has it been like pursuing like becoming an artist full time?
Mm-mm.
How long has it been?
I started doing this in June, so it's been 9 months,
Oh, okay,
almost 10
okay.
months.
Right. Remember when I first met you, you had just started out, maybe.
Yes, it was probably a few months in.
Right. So how are you feeling like going to that workshop, right? Because that workshop is about designing your work life, trying to
Mm.
align your work values with your life values. Was it because you thought they weren't in alignment at the time? That's why you pursued something else?
Mm. No, I actually, surprisingly, I quite liked my past job. So it wasn't that, oh, I
Oh.
really didn't want to do what I was doing anymore. What else would I do? So for me, it was actually very difficult to leave because I thought, oh,
Oh.
I was sacrificing something that was actually my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it actually made it harder that my job was not horrible.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, totally. Usually it's because people are feeling like so drained and
Yeah.
they hate their job. Like they're gonna, you know.
For that, I would recommend just taking a break because being an artist is also very tiring and difficult. So if you're very burned out, probably don't go be an artist as a solution.
Okay. Right. You'll be even worse off than you were. Right. Okay. So what's the difference between corporate and being an artist?
Mm. Corporate is very structured. So even though there are challenging moments, I think there's a very logical way to work through that. Whereas now, I feel like there's a lot of uncertainty. Even like as you walk into my studio, I'm working on this
Mm,
piece of art, right? And it's not really
mm.
going very well, but I don't really know how I'm going to fix it. Um,
Mm.
so there's a lot of uncertainty every
Mm.
day. And then in the longer term, there's also a lot of uncertainty because
Mm.
you don't really know where your work will take you. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, the other obvious difference is you don't have a paycheck every month.
Yes, that is also very different.
Right. So, do you have plans like as to where you're going to show your art?
Mm.
Those things like the practical issues behind the
Mm,
creativity.
mm,
So obviously, yeah, later on we'll talk about like the symbolism behind the art. But I'm just thinking like as of now, do you have like any negotiations or any contacts in the art world that you can pursue?
I think it's definitely important if you want to be a full-time artist to show your art to other people, but I haven't really focused on that yet just because I don't think I've made enough work yet.
Yeah, it's early
So
days. It's
so I
only
haven't
been a few months.
mm, mm. So I haven't spent a lot of time on that at this point.
So you recently joined something called an open
Open studio.
studio. Yeah, and that was like a part of Hong Kong's Art Week.
Oh yeah. The friends I share the studio with, we just open up our studio for visitors during Art Week, so that
Mm-hmm.
people can come and see where we work, and then can ask questions about our process. It was my
Mm-hmm.
first time doing something like that. It was quite fun.
Yeah. So you mean this studio? You opened up
Yeah,
your studio.
yeah,
Oh, right. So it's yeah, her studio is in an industrial building.
yes. So usually it's locked, but
Yeah.
during that week there were 2 days where anybody could just come in
Mm-hmm.
and then check out the different rooms one by one and see what people are working on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, that like makes a difference, and this brings me to the point where I can get to ask you about the symbolism behind your art, because like every artist, they have their own concept, right? You're inspired by some ideas, and there's like an underlying like a whole concept behind your paintings.
Mm.
Yeah. So let's talk about those braids. Cause like yeah, she does 3D. You started out with doing 3D stuff. Remember when I asked you like what you did? You showed me some pictures and they're like swirly little braids. Like what are those?
Those are actually wonton noodles. So previously I was primarily a painter, but in the past year I've been exploring different materials, and I was really drawn to wonton noodle as a material. So I think
Mm-hmm.
they carry a lot of cultural meaning, but also personal meaning. Um, so for me, it was about kind of taking wonton noodles as a language and incorporating it into my work. So I've
Right.
made a few pieces where I take the noodles and I braid them, and then use that to create different shapes. Sometimes I'll reference different bone script characters from old Chinese
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
texts
Right, right, right.
to make
So
certain like words and images.
yeah, wonton noodles is such a Hong Kong heritage. It's like Hong Kong delicacy, right? So
Mhm.
it's like a paying homage to like Hong Kong, the Hong Kong culture.
Yeah, so I take the noodles, um, and sometimes at the beginning I was just mostly figuring out how to um, fix like a perishable material onto the surface. So I was using resin to create different shapes. But then over time, when I became more comfortable using the resin, that was when I started to do more like complex
Mm-hmm,
images
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
that symbolize different words and um,
Right, right,
yeah,
right.
different landscapes as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I know it's really hard to express
Visualize.
this. It's really hard to visualize this through audio. But if you guys are interested, like, come on to my IG page for Love and Life Sorted, because I will ask Angela to talk a little about to show us the pieces and to tell us what characters they actually are.
Mm.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful. Right. Right. So yeah, wonton noodles, like you liked eating them, obviously. But you can't eat them now because they're like stuck in resin.
Yeah, I don't use cooked noodles. So I use the raw noodles
Oh, oh, oh. Mm, mm, mm.
to make the art. But actually, now that I've moved on from resining
Mm,
the
mm.
noodles, I also use the noodles like kind of as a brush to,
Really? As a
yeah,
brush?
yeah. So I use the noodles and
Mm,
then
mm,
I
mm,
use
mm,
them
mm,
as a
mm.
paintbrush so that the work is more textured.
You mean you tie them into a brush and then you use it to brush colors on it?
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's something new. Like I didn't know that noodles can be brush what do you call them? These are
Bristles.
the bristles of a brush?
Yeah, but I don't necessarily arrange them like a traditional paintbrush. I just hold the whole bunch of noodles
Mm,
and
mm,
then
mm,
put
mm.
them onto the paint so that there's like a lot of texture. So then when I like mesh it
Oh,
onto the canvas, there's more volume,
right,
basically.
right. Yeah, can you demonstrate that? Can you use that on there?
Sure, sure.
That is so cool. Hey, did you get it trademarked? I think you're the only one who's using noodles as bristles. You know,
Let
like
me show
seriously,
you.
you
It's
should
kind of like this. I just hold the noodles
yeah, okay,
like
okay.
this. Or
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Oh wow. That really interesting. Yeah, you should actually sell these brushes. Like
no,
seriously.
they go bad because they're raw noodles.
But raw wouldn't go bad, right? Like the
No, no,
cooked
of course
one
they
will.
yeah, no, they will go
They will
bad
go
because
bad. Oh.
it's still food. So
Unless you
I
preserve
probably
them
one or
like
two
that,
days.
right?
But the paintings that I
Mm-mm-mm.
make using noodles as a brush, there's no noodle on the canvas. I'm just using it to
Mm.
create the texture.
Yes, but
So
those, I mean, the ones that are actually filled with the noodles, those are treated. Or else
oh
like
yeah, those are resin.
if
Yeah.
people put it on their like on their walls,
Yeah,
they'll
yeah.
be going bad, right? If you
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
treat
yeah, yeah,
them.
yeah. If they're
Yeah.
covered in resin, then they're
Right,
preserved.
right, right. Yeah, you guys you have to come on the page to have a look because I can't show you now. Anyway, yeah, like that's so interesting. Okay, so tell me about your latest painting because like you've moved on like after doing the 3D noodles, like now you're going back to your passion, your original passion, which is painting. So
Mm.
what's the symbolism behind your new collection?
What you're seeing is like a 300 cm times 180 cm large canvas that I like pieced together with 3 smaller canvases, I guess. And then I'm trying to tell a story based on like a girl playing with a tree in a forest. So that's why you can see like different different shapes, like showing like movement of the girl climbing the tree and like playing with the tree, picking apple from the tree.
Yeah, it reminds me of a jungle. Yeah, like as I said, like Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak, the childhood book that I loved. Like the book that what like the that won the Caldecott Medal for its artwork because it was just so insightful. It was like just very powerful. Like the imagery was very powerful. Yeah, and I love color as well. Like the color, it's like muted, uh, blue, green, and brown hues.
It's funny that you say muted because I was wondering why the colors were so muted, and I realized it might be because I'm using like cheap house paint. And then I started using some of my nicer paints halfway through, and the pigmentation really jumped out. So then I almost had to redo a lot of the parts because it looked very mismatched.
Right.
But it's okay. I actually think it worked out because then there's actually a stronger sense of depth unintentionally due to that problem.
Yes. Don't you think that it's amazing how art like transports you to places that you never thought of before? That's why I thought of like Sendak's book because Where the Wild Things Are is all about abstract, like transporting you into a dream, like that's really different from reality. You had no expectations where it'll take you. But I think that's the wonder of the art. Like you never know, like after you started, where it'll take you. It has like a.
So what is also very exciting, I guess, for the painter is that you don't really know where the painting will take you. I think that's the fun part of it.
Yeah. So hence it's so different from your very structured corporate job. Like it's complete opposite.
Yes.
So what you did was like PowerPoints and stuff, right?
Yeah. So it's very different.
Yeah. And I'm quite amazed that you handled both things well. And then you also said that it didn't really annoy you like the previous job. It was so hard to get out because you actually liked it as well. So you can be both structured and creative.
I do think a lot of people have a creative side in them. It just depends on whether they want to make their passion their career as well. So that's a very distinct choice.
Yes. Like whether you want to unleash it or not. A lot of people become writers in their spare time. Like they're in the car or like during wee hours before work and coming back from work, like they write their novels and stuff, I guess. Yeah, it's a bit like that feeling of its own. So what advice would you give people who are, wanting or thinking of unleashing their creativity and pursue their passions? Like, would you recommend people following their dreams, or do you think there's like a catch to it?
I think there's a different answer for everybody. You definitely shouldn't ignore your passion, but also you shouldn't maybe quit your job for it very impulsively. Think through the decision before you do it. And if you think that you're willing to make sacrifices to make your passion work, then why not?
I think it depends on how big the sacrifice as well. If we're talking like practical.
But it depends on your stage in life, right? So if it's important for you to be really practical about it, sure. But then maybe if you've just graduated and that's not really your concern, then you could also just go for it. So it really depends on your personal situation.
Yes. I think you have less at stake if you were younger. Like in your 20s, you can just pursue anything without thinking too much. Just go for it. You have nothing to lose.
I think it's never too late to change your mind, though. So if you do something and if you don't like it, you could always go back. So it's better to live without regrets.
Okay. Oh, let me ask you where you get your inspiration from. So after the wonton noodles, obviously it's like a Hong Kong delicacy. So after wonton noodles, and now it's your abstract painting again. Do you get inspiration from everyday life or traveling or what?
No matter whether I'm painting or using other materials, I usually try to get inspiration from everyday life, but I think there's endless inspiration around it. So I don't think it's that
Mm.
difficult, right? So even for wonton noodles, it's just one material. I managed to spend many, many months exploring it. And then when it didn't really work out, I think it's easy to move
Mm.
on from that material as well. Um, so that's not really a big concern. There's like inspiration everywhere, I think.
Yeah, from just everyday life, like everywhere, like where you live, or doesn't you don't need to venture that
Yeah.
far,
It
right?
could be people, colors,
Mm-hmm.
materials, things that happen, stories that you hear about, people that you
Mm-hmm.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and actually, like if you group too many ideas into one piece, which is a mistake I've always made, it could be very confusing as well. So I think making myself focus on just one material for many
Mm-hmm.
months was a really good exercise.
Mm.
And just that material took me so much time because at the beginning, since it's a perishable material, I had to figure out like how to use chemicals to deal with that. And then after a while, turns out using all these chemicals all the time isn't my favorite way of making art. But then even going back to painting, I realized I could use wonton noodles as a paintbrush. So then
Mm-hmm.
it was completely unexpected, but it kind of came full circle. And I somehow am still using the noodles without using the noodles. So
Yeah.
sometimes you just don't know where it takes you, but those surprises are kind of fun too.
Yeah, that's so amazing. You have to get that trademarked, like to sell the noodle paintbrush. Yeah,
You
that's
can
so
just go buy
amazing.
noodles from the supermarket downstairs and then do it.
Yeah,
So,
you have to
not
figure out
sure
a
if,
way to make them into like a paint, like with the handle and everything,
yeah.
sell them somewhere, but to make them usable, like not perishable, imperishable paintbrush noodles, noodle paintbrush.
So, to make them imperishable, they would harden. So, that would take
Oh
away your ability to
yeah.
paint with them. So, you really can do it only
Oh.
with raw noodles.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The noodle paintbrushes that can
I'm
be
not sure
used
if
for one
this
week.
business idea of yours will work.
1 week expiration date. Or maybe, like sometimes people can experiment into making it possible, right? That's how they invent things. People invent things like that.
Yeah. So, I
Yeah.
think the main learning is like whatever work you or whatever material you try to incorporate, even if it doesn't work out, it could find its way back into your art as well.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Yeah, that's so fun. Okay, so do you get lonely sometimes if you're, so working in this environment, I can see you're all by yourself in the studio, but when you were working in your office in corporate, you're surrounded by people. So it's very different. Are you handling this well?
I'm adjusting to working hours on end alone, but making art has also opened me up to new friends and perspectives the last few months. So at the same time, I can enjoy that.
Yeah, well, it's good that you're not too lonely. Like you have your art as companion. Okay, so thanks, Angela, for being here. It was like so amazing to see your workshop. And I really want to ask you finally, what are your hopes and dreams for your art career?
Right now, my main focus is to make work that I'm excited about. Because in the past few months, I've just been mostly experimenting with different materials. But I realized that, oh, it's about time that I start painting again and trying to build out a collection of work. So that's my main priority right now. I'm also interested in um, exploring different ways my creative work can exist beyond the canvas. So
Mm.
whether it's through different formats or collaborating with other people or showing my work in different contexts, those are things I haven't explored yet. But once I've made more work, then I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm excited for you too. Oh, and finally, how's the art scene in Hong Kong? Do you think it's vibrant?
Yeah, I've met a lot of people who are very passionate about art, even in my course because it's a part-time course. I realized that a lot of people they dedicated a lot of time to it. Even after work, they will travel all the way to CUHK to to take this course for 3 hours, right? So really art lovers are everywhere. And even people who are not creating art, there's actually a lot of people who appreciate art. As you see, Art Week was so
Mm.
busy, and I felt that, oh, there's actually a lot of art lovers around us. So
Yeah, yeah. It's like one of the Asian hubs for art here. Yeah. So, well, I'm glad you're pursuing it here. Yeah, and a lot of global opportunities, like hopefully in the future.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you so much for being here, and like you're a great inspiration for people who are thinking of pursuing their passions in life. And you're someone who actually went and did it. So, kudos to you.
Thanks for your encouragement.
Okay, thank you. Remember to subscribe to Love and Life Sorted so you don't miss an episode, and hop onto our IG page so you can see what Angela's paintings actually look like and see the inspiration behind them. And if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, I invite you to do so for more insider stuff and exciting news. Okay, so see you all next week. Bye.